Rock concert movement number 1.
Ah!
The basic head bob. Ready, go.
That is calm and comforting. You don't know the power of Kenyan side. 1:30 on a brusque Monday afternoon. It is really just awful out. I could handle like a snowstorm. I could handle a rain. When it's like that stuck in the middle. I'm not talking like an ice storm because that's obviously the worst. Although not as bad for those of us with underground power lines. It's keeping me up last night. Wind was crazy. One thing there aren't a whole lot of things Indiana does right. There are some things Indiana does better than Iowa, interbreeding, for example. One thing they do, though, is when high winds come, and I don't know why we don't do this. It's not like we have a shortage of interstate. They limit, the double semis. I don't know what the official trucking term is because I bathe regularly at home. But like the double axle, triple axle, the long trucks, they ban oversized loads for 6-8 hours or whatever it takes to the winds to die down because it is dangerous out there. I mean, it was the point, when my little Bradshawmobile, which is eligible to park in compact spots, usually next to an SUV, also parked in a compact spot. Again, not saying that it should be legal to key SUVs in compact car spots. I'm saying it should be mandatory. But when even my car bounces around, I can't even fathom what it would be like to, running an extra wide, moving a house, moving one of those double wides down the road. It's okay to just say, you guys, ride out the storm. Find a truck stop, get yourself a lot lizard, whatever you guys want to do in the meantime. Arm wrestling tournament, if 80s Stallone movies is to be believed. Again, whatever it takes, just get off the roads for a bit because it's not safe. I mean, it's hard to keep a high-profile vehicle on the road. And by high-profile, I don't mean the Pope Mobile. Although, convenient segue. The Pope is stepping down, which I don't care, generally, about the, who wears the big hat. Well, certainly their effect on the rest of the world, but the Pope has decided he is stepping down because he's too weak. Is this some sort of ploy to lure Skywalker to the dark side and comes back with unlimited power? In all honesty, what does a Pope do? I've never seen a job listing for it. I don't think it requires the occasional lifting of up to 50 pounds or anything. What, you ride in the Pope Mobile, you kiss the ground when you get off an airplane, and when some priest is accused of sexual abuse of a child, you find some other country to move them to. That's pretty much it. Make decrees. So he's stepping down at the end. Does papal infallibility also go away at the end of the month? I don't know how this works. So he's infallible today, but 1 month from now will not be. Is that?
Yes, 1 month from now he will no longer be inspired directly by God.
Oh, like is that like? Do they have to send like a technician out? Is that like when you get your cable cut off?
I would assume there's some kind of service technician to turn that service off.
You have to switch to DSL at that point, or?
Yeah, well, Yeah,
I just want to know
I don't ascribe to this, by the way. I don't want anybody to think that
you're a filthy papist.
Yeah, I'm not a papist.
And yes, we use that term in jest because I have actually had a woman come in to protest me and bring a priest once.
Really?
I'm
I got a buddy who's a priest.
when I was in South Bend, home of the Fighting Irish. We moved there right at kind of the height of the sex abuse scandal, and I was tasked with doing news, and it was a morning show, so I wasn't just like straight. I wasn't Ross Buckingham. I did some summer stock once or anything like that. So there were a lot of jokes thrown in, and many at the expense of pedophiles. For whatever reason, I don't know if this is a faith-based thing or just Indiana people are stupid. I'm open to both interpretations. I had a lot of people take these, comments as anti-Catholic. Again, I wasn't calling people dirty papists and potato jokes in there. It was, and I thought this was a universal, but I guess I was wrong that abusing children is bad. I guess I'm the one out on a limb doing strange things. I'm outside the norm in this case. So yeah, a woman brought in her priest to complain to upper management that I would dare mock pedophiles and the people that are covering them up.
Did they do an exorcist?
No.
Or an exorcism, sorry.
No Bobby Jindal.
No demons out even?
No Bob Larson. I'm not kidding, by the way.
Did they throw any oil on you?
No, I was not present, which is why I didn't burst into flames.
Oh, well, that explains it.
By the way, I kid you not, the governor of Louisiana did take part in an exorcism in college, wrote about it. Maybe that's why they have creationism in schools now. Just saying. Real quick, because I promised I would get to this on Monday when I was ready. And it's part of my grand unifying theory. I'm trying to find this the 42 of modern day conservatism, the answer to life, Reagan, and everything. My grand unifying theory of the GOP. And I'm trying to show my work, and there's the core components of women this side of June Cleaver scare the hell out of them. Literally want to regress to their childhood in this idealized version of 1950s, 60s America that never truly existed, but when they put on their rose-colored glasses, goes back. And this is the latest. And maybe this is a good teachable moment for our friends on the right. And I was asked my thoughts on the white paper laying out the rules and rationale for drone strikes on American citizens. I said the same thing I did, last week when the story broke. It is an abuse of executive power. So I was immediately asked, is this an impeachable offense? And I said no, for the same reason I laid out last week. This is what the right asked for. They wanted basically enshrinement of the Nixonian adage: if the president does it, it's not illegal. It's what they asked for. It's what they argued for. Anyone who disagreed with them was obviously on the side of the terrorists and wants the terrorists to win. And they won. The doors were thrown open to torture, rendition, indefinite detention. So that whole Miranda thing, right out the window if we label terrorist on you. You can snoop, on Americans all you want. Uh, the Department of Justice, maybe this is the most telling part of the entire Patriot Act. Holding, again, the Patriot Act was it's a strange piece of legislation because it doesn't do a whole lot. It just amends this and changes this wording and opens the door for law enforcement nationwide, not just worldwide. Go nuts. And again, maybe the most, when historians sit down and talk about how we all kind of lost our collective minds after 9/11. Talk about the Patriot Act, the fact that the Bush Department of Justice was, literally bringing in, domestic law enforcement, sheriffs, police, chiefs and the like, to let them know how they could use the Patriot Act in their daily lives. And this is why. And I don't know if the ratio is still apt, but as of 3 or 4 years ago, the Patriot Act literally had been used to prosecute more strip clubs than terrorists. But again, this is what the right said that we needed. It's what they demanded, and we lost the argument. We were told, sit down, shut up, clap more, you dirty hippie. Lord knows hippie punching, even on the left, has been an American pastime for decades. In watching, again, kind of the right-wing reaction, maybe reached its crescendo the other night on the O'Reilly factor of all places. And Bill O'Reilly, master of the falafel, had one of the Fox News token Democrats on again. Unless you're just weapons grade wrong, like Dick Morris, there's a very lucrative career ahead of you, being labeled a Democrat who's willing to go on Fox News or just right-wing media and say bad things about Democrats. That's a very valuable role for them. So O'Reilly has one of these guys on and is bashing, the left. And it literally said that NBC wasn't reporting on this story. Only Fox News, gives you the truth, which is kind of part of their BS marketing. Hey, you paranoid delusionals out there, we're your only source of truth. Turn off everyone else. That's just a simple ratings ploy. But what he said, NBC isn't reporting on this, and of course Fox News' arch enemy is MSNBC between the hours of 5 p.m. and whenever they start doing jail shows again. The rest of the day is Joe Scarborough, who maybe without a dead intern in his office would still be a Republican congressman, hosting in mornings and just general, conventional wisdom Chuck Todd news during the day. Yeah, they go liberal at night. So their arch enemy is that kind of block between Ed Schultz and Lawrence O'Donnell, who I'll never forgive for slapping a young Jeb Bartlett, but that's another story. And of course, it has to be us versus them, black versus white, 1 versus 0. So we are the good guys. We were the white hats. And the black hats obviously are bad in all things. So in their world, it was, NBC not reporting the story, which I found odd considering that it was an NBC reporter on the Rachel Maddow show who broke the drone white paper piece. I mean, it literally stemmed from, the bowels of MSNBC. And again, we have a short attention span in America, and the drone story is, been eclipsed by, cops on the run and the State of the Union address. But reading the tidbits on the right that still show up, it's made me watch this. Where's the outrage? This gets asked a lot by our friends on the right. Where's liberals were who wanted to demonize George Bush now laud Obama, and I'm like, okay, so the story broke on Maddow. There's no shortage. You can go all the way over to the Glenn Greenwalds of the world. Who want to go after the Obama administration, and I don't think they're wrong in doing this. For standing up and saying, these drone attacks are wrong, and you should not be doing them, and you should not follow in the proud legal footsteps of a John Yoo just to say, maybe the president wants to do it. But I'm pragmatic enough to know that, the landscape changed. The fight was had, the fight was won, and now the executive has this power. Now, of course, Republicans are upset because someone, again, with a D next to their name happens to hold that power. And I tried to make this argument with them years ago. They weren't having any of it. Guess they believed Karl Rove. Oops. Permanent Republican majority. That worked out well. But I finally I realized their confusion now. They're not used to. Because again, when Bill O'Reilly goes, he knows where the story came from. For all his, again, loofah needs, he's a pretty sharp guy. Sharp guy with a bit of a temper, but sharp guy. He's not a dullard. He's not stupid. But he portrays a character for his audience. So, while Bill O'Reilly and probably the rest of the staff at Fox News know exactly where the drone story came from, in their little made-up world, of course, it's, binary, black, white, because they know their audience. And their audience, again, the folks who wake up with Joe Scarborough and listen to talk radio all day, come home and turn on Fox News to be told what to be mad about all day, honestly, can't fathom a party that doesn't march in lockstep. Again, Republicans are the party of projection, and they love to talk about, how coordinated the left-wing liberal media is. Meanwhile, if you ingest right-wing media, starting with the morning Joes and moving on through the day, you'll find, and I've literally received talking points from the Heritage Foundation. Beck is, in his own weird way, upset about the same thing that Limbaugh is upset about, who's upset about the same thing as Hannity is. And it finally all filters down, much like a human centipede, where Limbaugh is the A, Hannity is the B, and the B is the worst place to be in the human centipede. And Mark Levin is the C. But it's all the same outrage, the same talking points, the same, guests, even in some spots. And again, this was my experience, playing Lucky Pierre between Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity for all these years, man. When they're angry about something, they are all angry at the same time with the same talking points. And it almost doesn't even matter, what the outrage is. They find one and they run with it. Some are absurd. Gave the Queen an iPod. Some are completely made up. Gave the Queen an iPod with his speeches on it. Death panels. And some are legitimate. Executive overreach. The problem is they're conditional on a Democrat being in office, much like their concern about debt and deficit. It's about there's a Democrat in office. But that's the source of confusion. They literally can't comprehend that the entire left doesn't march in lockstep. That there is a wide variety of views. They're more comfortable, obviously, with a Republican Party that, again, covers the entire spectrum of the conservative establishment and the Tea Party. Bring the right and the ultra far right together in a sense of harmony. And while, again, Democrats vary on the issue, and yes, there are some who are just, Obama did it and I'm going to defend it. Others see, the rotting husk of corporatism, that stench all over the Democratic Party. And again, it's one of our strengths, biodiversity, and it's also one of our weaknesses on the left. And the person I was talking to, I'd mentioned that, hey, we have two parties in this country. I'm sorry you don't like it. And it's even worse now that one of them is taken over completely by, loonies and con men and grifters. Said the left is equally influenced by the left, loons and con men. Just ask Al Gore and Al Sharpton. Are you saying that Occupy, unions, and social groups like Pink haven't taken over the left? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, part of it goes back to the old hippie punching. It's generally a way that conventional wisdom tends to grind itself into people's brains. Go back to, the lead up to the Iraq War. And it was only us, damn dirty hippies, because many Democrats were absolutely on board. And it was we darn dirty hippies who were told, sit down, shut up, clap more. Why don't you, support your country? And even on the left. Turns out we were right. It was a bit of a boondoggle. It's very similar to the conversation we're having now when it comes to debt and deficit. Even among the honest folks who are concerned, debt deficit, debt deficit, debt deficit. There are no shortage, again, of deficit peacocks like Chuck Grassley. Again, talks about the debt, talks about the deficit. And, I guess it's up to personal opinion whether folks are intentionally confusing the two, as if they are one kind of monolithic entity, and they are far from it. Ask your typical Fox News watching, AM radio listening Republican if the deficit is bigger now or when Obama took office. Most of them will not give you the right answer. And when you present them with the right answer, will then, again, conflate the two in a mess of garbled talking points to let you know that Obama is the most socialist whatever ever. As far as Code Pink taking over the Democratic Party, relatively laughable. But it was nice to see them in this case, infiltrating a confirmation hearing to stand up and be generally ineffective. And again, this goes back to, why I would get asked this, why do you focus on talking about the Tea Party and you don't talk about Code Pink or PETA? You're not so hard on them. And you're right. I'm not, for the very simple matter of they don't really matter. Yeah, I was excited when Occupy popped up. I thought it was a real chance to change the Democratic Party. I think we see, 2 years later, how that worked. Not so much. Maybe Elizabeth Warren was the one elected official who kind of, was willing to take that mantle, at least early on. I don't think she's still talking Occupy, mostly because it failed due to the same reason many left-wing causes fail. And it ends up getting taken over by, the loud and the ineffectual. and fades by the wayside. Again, I'm a big believer of you got to be in it to win it, but that involves being in it. Uh, this is why libertarians are generally so useless. So we put ourselves, I putting myself on a pedestal above your petty partisan concerns. Right? You're not in the system. You're not taking part in the game. You're not going to win. Part of me being a Democrat, not a progressive. I mean, I am liberal. I don't put independent on my cards because I think honestly we're the only party right now that has a chance of influencing anything. And it is a national party that, yes, suffers at the hands of corporatism, and yes, is just as inundated with money problems as the right, but at least is open to progress, has the most potential for doing good. That's why I'm a Democrat. That's why I'm a proud Democrat. I didn't run from the term, oh, God, they made liberal a bad word. I'm going to call myself a progressive now. No, I'm a liberal. But again, look at the left and how they even, conventional Democrats love to hippie punch. Those of us who say, this austerity talk is stupid and crazy. Oh, and by the way, has real world examples to show the harm that it does. And you look at these European countries. Look at Britain, who's looking for, what, a third dip recession now? Look at Spain. I mean, Greece is kind of a special case. But all these countries where, we have to cut our spending back. Unemployment skyrockets. The economy goes into the crapper. That's what austerity brings in bad times. Whatever happened to counter-secular spending. Times are good. Let's cut back. Let's sock some away. Times are bad. Let's get that money out there. Again, the stuff that should be common sense. You want to talk about cutting Social Security? I want to talk about raising it. Republicans want to run, we don't want, expanded Medicare. Why not? We don't, we should cut Medicare and Medicaid. I say we should expand them. These are arguments and debates we should be having. Just unfortunately, not happening now because of mostly hippie punching. And when all is said and done, in whatever decade we end up, fully recovered from the Great Recession, much like the Iraq War, I think those of us who were told to sit down, shut up, and start being serious people will be shown to be right again. And there are signs. Hell, Bill Clinton over the weekend, very boldly, said austerity is not the way to go. And there are a lot of people, crossing their fingers and holding their breath, waiting for tomorrow night to see which President Obama shows up. Are we going to get fiery campaign Obama? Or are we going to get the guy who cut the grand bargain, or at least tried to, with John Boehner? Are we going to get, talk about getting our fiscal house in order and debt and deficit? Or are we going to say, hey, we need to fix the economy? It needs more money, more blood for the blood god. Sounds like we're going to get more campaign Obama, and I hope so. I can deal with, real issues instead of these fake, made-up controversies, created out of thin air problems like the fiscal cliff, which again should be no better example of how full of it Republicans are. Republicans nonstop, at least since Obama took office. We need to get spending under. We need to spend less. We need to spend less. We need to spend less. Well, here's the fiscal cliff. What's it going to do? Spend less. You'd think they would support it. It furthers their grand goal, at least the one they state. But they let it go by the wayside, and they fought very hard against it. You know, and it makes sense because, you know, for all the talk, and, you know, whether it's chairman of the Iowa GOP, A.J. Spiker, you know, standing up saying, we are the, you know, there is a same-sex marriage party in Iowa. It's the Democrats. And you're not going to see any movement on same-sex marriage this year. Whether it's Chuck Grassley, again, peacocking around about the debt and the deficit, but when it comes time to cut his rainforest in Iowa or downsize the Iowa National Guard, Air National Guard, watch how they freak out. Why? It's going to spend less money in their district. Those are their priorities. Yet, follow their actions, ignore their words, because most of it is bunk. It's as made up as pulling the plug on grandma. It's meant to entice the rubes and the dupes and the marks. And more importantly, and this goes back to my grand unifying theory, the folks out there who want others to think for them. Tell me what to be outraged about today. Tell me who I can blame my problems on. You know, this goes back, and sorry to invoke Noam Chomsky again. You know, when times are tough, times are bad. When things get rough out there, people look for answers. And they're willing to accept even horrible, bat crap, crazy, incredibly wrong answers. Wrong and strong, man. That's what pretty much all the Republican Party of today has to offer. Unfortunately, when you sign up for those wrong and strong answers, you'll also get a bunch of questionable investments peddled to you, or weird sort of health cures if you're on Dick Morris's email list that gets sent to, or sold, I'm sorry, to various scam artists. So there's a bit of a price that comes with having those answers. And they frankly, they were better at it than we were. That's why we lost so many of the arguments. Like, should the president just be allowed to do whatever in the name of safety? We lost. They won. Again, I don't know why. I mean, I guess if they were intellectually consistent, they wouldn't be doing cartwheels now. Even Democrats have embraced one of their core principles. They're just upset when a Democrat does it. All right. Got to take a break. When we come back, talk a little bit about this former L.A. police officer on the run. And speaking of corrupt public officials, Ken Sorensen. The complaint against him is open for all the world to read, and his well-reasoned response was basically, if I may paraphrase, nuh-uh. I don't know, is this a nice look in what really goes on in Republican politics? We'll talk about that and more when we return here on The Bradshaw Show. Email me at radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. I'll be back right after this on The Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative mmanager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
It's time to start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
Where am I now? I'm Carmen San Diego. Do it, rockapella. Rock. Wait, oh, that's Des Moines. Hey, I'm home. All right. Bradshaw with you from Dick Cheney's undisclosed location. This is the anniversary of Dick Cheney shooting a guy in the face. Oh, there we go. Much better. Comfortable.
So what are you saying? You want to go hunting?
No, I'm saying the crazy thing is it was the guy that got shot in the face that ended up apologizing to
he got in the way of Dick Cheney's gun.
Go bleep yourself, Cheney. I'd always just assumed they were hunting the most dangerous game.
No, they're hunting quail, which are erratic and fly around. No, not Dan.
That's what I figured. Somewhere, and if there's anyone on Earth who would do it, it'd be Dick Cheney.
And let's be honest,
hunts live human beings.
Dan Quayle, not dangerous to anybody other than himself.
And Murphy Brown.
I don't understand that connection, but okay.
You don't remember when Dan Quayle, Vice President of the United States,
yes, I know who he is.
Picked a fight with a fictional TV character. Oh. I mean, that's like straight out of Jerry Falwell's
I'm
book.
guessing he lost.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, again, not dangerous to anybody other than himself. I stand by my statement.
But yes, in honor of our own former vice president, we should celebrate today by spending some quality time shooting a friend in an undisclosed location.
I think that sounds fun.
I'm not your friend.
You sure?
I'm very sure.
We should go hunting sometime. It'll be fun.
No.
I'll give you a BB gun.
Yeah, Red Ryder.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to get you one that actually would hurt if you got
something
shot.
like airsoft or something. How about Nerf? Those were always fun in college. You ever do the drunken Nerf gun fighting?
No, we had paintball guns.
Did the paintball thing. Those leave some serious welts. I once took about 40 shots to the ribs and groin because I had, I think, given 20-some points on a Iowa State-Mizzou game.
Uh-huh.
But it was worth it because it was Q106.1 day at Faroe Field.
Oh, you did this on purpose? This wasn't just your bad shot?
No, I was the one being shot.
Oh. I shot a kid once with frozen paintballs in the head.
Oh God, no! But
now they don't make those so they can freeze.
I'm just saying it was worth it because under my station logo shirt, I had an Iowa State jersey. So they handed me the game ball. You know how they do those stupid presentations before a lot of these games for sponsors and the like. So the athletic director hands me the game ball, and I hold it up. And then I pull off my station shirt to show the Iowa State logo. So and it was like one corner of the field over there where there were like 20 Iowa State fans, like yeah, and everyone else was like,
"What game were you at?"
No. Iowa State versus Mizzou down in Columbia.
Oh, okay. Well, I would actually almost care.
Hey, I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, I don't like Iowa State.
What?
Yeah, I'm an Iowa guy.
Oh, you didn't go to Iowa. Well, like most Iowa fans.
Yeah, like most Iowa fans. Actually, my great uncle was the very last of the 1939 Ironmen to die, Red Fry. So we're born and bred Iowa Hawkeyes.
Oh, then why didn't you go?
Why didn't I go? Because I'm broke. I don't know.
But it's an in-state school, and Iowa.
You paying?
Well, no.
Okay.
Well, kind of as a taxpayer.
Well,
yeah.
No. Actually, kind of as a taxpayer, you loan me money and then I pay you back with interest.
But I do that as well as grants and the like. No, but Iowa is a very important school for our state because people who get a 12 on the ACT still deserve to go to college, and Iowa, fulfills that role. Actually, the lowest one I remember was a 7.
You're talking about the University of Northern Iowa, maybe?
No, teachers are an important aspect. Creative writers, somewhat less so. But Ronnie Harmon needs to go to school somewhere, and who else is going to advance the techniques of underwater basket weaving? So yeah, I do know one girl. I think it was a 7. It was either a 12 or a 17 on her ACTs, and I think you get 22 just by putting your name on it correctly. I guess Drool can affect the Scantron results. I don't, but college isn't for everybody, and for those people, the University of Iowa is there. We kid because we care, also because we scored much better on our ACTs. All right, 244-0077. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com, although it's not going to work because the internet here seriously is making me reconsider Amish life. Or follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. Just go to thebradshawshow.com and take care of everything. I have to admit, I'm absolutely fascinated. I don't normally get this way. The more hyped a story it is, usually the less impact it has on one's daily life. But I don't know if a story has wrapped up people like this. Maybe since the DC sniper. Again, similar in methods, but the whole Christopher Dorner story. If you've been living in a cave, two things. One, if you are Christopher Dorner, turn yourself in. And two, he is the former Navy marksman, former LAPD officer who has vowed revenge and has started blowing people away. And again, what's fascinating about this story is that we Americans like, clean guy, good guy, bad guy. Black hat, white hat. What do you do when both are bad? In this case, there's fog of war over the whole Christopher Dorner story. There's talk that he has a history of failing and blaming it on people. On the flip side, there's pretty much the last 40-year history of the LAPD. Everything from Rodney King to the Rampart Squad, which if you're not up to speed on that one, A, I don't blame you, and B, my God. Some of the stuff that they pull. I mean, there are systemic problems and have been for a long time with the LAPD. So it's like there's no real, white hat, Lone Ranger, good guy here. And over the weekend, they announced they're going to reopen the investigation into his claims. And this whole thing started years ago when then LAPD officer Christopher Dorner accused one of his fellow cops of using unlawful force. It was investigated and ended up turning around on him and costing him his job. He vowed revenge, and again, when you pull the trigger, you're in the wrong. And especially, he killed the kid. Grown adult, but kid of one of the people he accused of wronging him. I guess he ambushed her and, was it her husband or fiance? In their parking garage. She was an assistant, college basketball coach. But the latest was his car was found torched in a resort town. And now he's gone completely, the trail is completely cold. There's $1 million reward out for the guy. And to be honest, the only way that this thing ends without Christopher Dorner being spread in thousands of little pieces, is an A.J. Cowling, O.J. Simpson, slow speed chase covered by every news helicopter in the Northern Hemisphere. Because, do you really think this guy has much of a chance after, as soon as he ends up in the back of a police car? Oops, he tripped. Approximately 175 times. But what do you do when there's no good guy, there's no real bad guy? I mean, they're both bad. No matter who wins, we lose. And yes, there are some out there who see this, hero. I did enjoy, and this seems to have died down, but because this guy mentioned that he likes the president, he liked Michelle Obama's bangs. Now, according to the right, he's a hardcore leftist. No matter, by the way, he did write that he wants Chris Christie, I guess, to run for president, eat a little better. That gets left out of the Fox Nation article because it doesn't fit the narrative they're pushing. My question is, at what point, if he was just, say, torching houses, what if he was burning down the houses of the LAPD? Would he then be as bad a guy? He was, jacking their cars. putting them up on blocks. Where is that line? You know, writing angry letters to the editor is kind of like null, zero. Shooting people from a distance. He owns a Bushmaster, by the way. I just want to point that out. You know, the far end. Like, where is it like okay and not okay? And yes, I say this as someone who grew up watching the movie Tank with James Garner, C. Thomas Howell, some girl playing a prostitute. You know, but it's literally, you know, James Garner in a tank shooting at and running from corrupt law enforcement. In our culture, that's a hero. Go back to the first Rambo movie. Kind of the anti-hero that becomes, you know, the bow and arrow shooting, helicopter destroying Rambo of the later movies. I don't know who it was. You know, how many movies have we all watched? Whether it's, you know, in our sweatpants over the weekend, you know, flipping by, TBS. You know, how many movies have we watched where there's a Christopher Dorner-like character and that we're supposed to root for? Serpico? And now we're shoved with it in real life. It's, I don't know, interesting to watch the media coverage. Because it seems like it should be, you know, very, very binary. Obviously, the police are the good guys, and obviously the man shooting the police is the bad guys, but it's not that simple in this case. I mean, obviously, yes, what he's doing is wrong. But the reason, you know, again, he's doing it, and who he's doing it to muddies the waters a little bit. So it is interesting to see how this plays out. I almost think, I mean, if his real goal is to, you know, if he truly believes that he has been grievously wronged, you know, could he do any better than just disappearing and never being found D.B. Cooper style? I almost wonder if that would be the worst, because then if you're someone who are, you know, is named in his manifesto, you know, would you ever sleep well again? Just knowing that he may be out there, he might not. And I guess there was another case like this, where the guy just disappeared. Still, they never found a body. They never found a trace again. Hasn't popped up again after his original, you know, shooting spree. But you gotta wonder, you know, if you were, you know, potentially on his list, you ever sleep again at night? You ever go anywhere without, you know, because it's not like he's breaking into, you know, homes and doing it with a shotgun, you know. He's a trained marksman, you know. You have no idea what's going on before you just hear poof. And by the time you hear the poof, you're already dead. You ever go out at night again, feel safe? The LAPD almost blew away 2 newspaper delivery old women. They were driving a similar car. They opened fire, just sprayed the thing down with bullets. Again, it's bad group versus bad guy. There's no rooting here or anything. It's just kick back and I guess watch how things unfold. I'd really, if he found some way, again, without being, you know, oopsied, to turn himself in and tell his story. You know, we have venues like this. And I like to think, I've never been in this situation, but I like to think that he would have access to those venues without having to resort to these drastic means. You know, was his time at the academy spent being called the N-word? What happened when, you know, he broke the code of silence? The blue wall, the thin blue line, whatever we're calling it. These are issues that should see the light of day and should get more attention. And I hope there's a way and that no one else gets hurt, that he, you know, faces what he's done. But the issues he's brought up get a full airing. And speaking of that leads me to Ken Sorensen, one of my favorite elected officials in the state of Iowa. And the complaint that was filed with the Senate Ethics Committee doesn't just accuse Ken Sorensen of breaking Senate ethics rules, but also the law. This is going to be fun. Ken Sorensen is accused, along with the Bachmann campaign, of funneling money through a third party, money laundering, to Ken Sorensen for his efforts aiding and abetting what will just be polite and called an actual run for the presidency by Michelle Bachmann. Also tied in was his alleged theft of a homeschool database email list, this niche list. Along with the complaint comes, and again, the glory of the paper trail. And emails between, you know, Bachmann staffers and Sorensen saying, you know, how he should go apologize and try to make good, admit he did wrong in stealing this email list that wasn't supposed to be available for candidates. But with that, again, this is, by the way, you pay your operatives well. Why do you think HR, again, never worries about layoffs? They know where the bodies are buried. In this case, pay your campaign operatives or else they start telling tales. And again, it's one thing to just, you know, leak it to Politico or tell it to Jennifer Jacobs. It's another when you have to, you know, put your name on the dotted line. I swear, I affirm that. In this case, by the way, it's not just the former, you know, Bachmann staffer, but Eric Wilson, Bachmann's Iowa campaign manager, mucky muck in the Iowa GOP for a long time. In this case, talking about the email theft. But again, it's fine. You know, how many people, you know, followed Michelle Bachmann because Ken Sorensen, paragon of virtue and, you know, a Jesus-y life, gave her, you know, his ringing endorsement. And it turns out the price for that was $7,500 a month. Again, not paid directly to Ken Sorensen because that'd be against the rules. Instead, Michelle PAC would pay its monthly bill to a group in Colorado called C&M Strategies, who would then pass along that convenient $7,500 overpayment to Ken Sorensen. And again, this was a complaint made under oath, not anonymously. And again, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy than Ken Sorensen, but maybe, at least for a few people, this will be an eye-opener. I think it is rather telling that shortly before the caucuses, when Ken Sorensen jumped from the, USS Failboat that was the Bachmann campaign to the Ron Paul, Raw Milk Brigade. And immediately the claims, oh, he's doing it for the money. They're paying him. And then they shut up immediately. Why? Because from the sounds of it, they were doing it too. Can I just point out again that Ken Sorensen would probably not be a state senator right now if it weren't for Steve Deace and his unflinching and undying support. Just throwing that out there. All right, I got to bounce. We'll reconvene tomorrow at 1:30. Talk a bit about the president's State of the Union address. Again, which Obama are we going to see? That'll go a long way in telling us what kind of year we're going to have. So we'll talk about that and more tomorrow here on The Bradshaw Show. The website, www.thebradshawshow.com. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All the contact info is there, the email, the Twitter, show archives as well. All at thebradshawshow.com. Stop by, say hello. Always interested in what people's feedback is. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, thanks for watching here on Webcast One Live. See you then.